Okay, guys, how we doing here? So Tuesday the 14th here, and you guys saw the numbers or the requests here. So the S&P is not surprising was first on the list. Now, right, so we all know what's causing this, right? So that's just this never-ending trade deal discussion just continues to spark volatility in the market. So now here we look at this as technicians, and we've been, I've got a daily chart here. We've been operating on the assumption that we put in a major third up here. So you look at that symmetry and you say, okay, well, there's my corrective wave. Now that certainly doesn't look like it would be the 5 to complete this 3. Certainly it's possible, but that seems quite unlikely given the symmetry that we'd end up with there. So per this Elliott count, 3, 4, and 5 are still all yet to come. That being the case, we've been through this a number of times. We've got a completed impulse here. So as a technician, we're not as concerned. Well, sure, you don't want to trade in a vacuum, but we get a completed impulse, and you're looking at that and going, shit, man, there's nothing's going to stop this. It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. Well, sooner or later, there's whether it's the completed impulse or that we end up finding ourselves rationalizing, oh, here's why we're going into the second wave. It's funny how the market has a way of doing that, and then we all figure out, oh, here's why it's doing it. But as a technician, we don't really care. What we care about is I've got a completed impulse here. Now I'm in the process of correcting it. So far, it looks like if this is going to stay consistent with normal retracements here, if indeed this is a 1-2, that well, of course, this is a huge range down here, but the 50% would be a reasonable place to be looking for the next long side. I mean, this extreme volatility is great for option traders if you're familiar with, if you know how to trade options, right? Very, very high volatility. All of the out-of-the-money puts and calls will be just blown up with volatility. So it's a great time to be a seller of volatility if you're comfortable and know how to do it, right? But while there's a lot of ways you can do that here, the one caveat I would throw in is I would not do anything unhedged. Not with Trump in the White House. I wouldn't do anything unhedged, right? So, not to digress into that too much here, but let's go down and look at this here. So let's go to the 4 hour here and just kind of see where we are. Well, we've been through this quite a number of times. So per the move off of the corrective low, there's a lot to it, but there's a very complete impulse here with just beautiful subdivision all along the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5 and the 5. It's very good. So members, we've been through this enough times here. You've seen all of the charts. You may very well have a count on this as well. But I've got us completing the impulse of the one wave here up at this prior high. Now that as we come down here, well, there's a few judgment calls you got to make here. So it's been very, very choppy. So it would appear at this point that we've got. So partly I'm influenced by the depth. So we're only to the 23 here. So I'm inclined to think that all we've done is put in an A wave here. Now we've got a leading diagonal in our A wave here. So the broader count would have us go, and we'll dig into it. I know it's a little hard to see. 3, there's the 4, and the 5 is in. So we've got a leading diagonal in an A wave here, and this, right? No surprise here. It looks like we're starting to that retrace here. Now where are we going? Well, this is your prime zone here, right here. If we can get that, now that's a ways to go. So I'll double the move that we've got to go to try and get there. You can see all the market acceptance there. So it looks like we're in the A wave. So even down to the 60-minute here. So here there's a few bits that are difficult here. This does look like I can get an impulse. You got to dig the 1, 2 here, but I can get the 3, 4, and the 5 into my A wave. It's a skinny ABC here to get the B. But then if this is correctly identified as the A, there's the B, and I come down to the C, well, the depth of this retracement makes me think that that's more likely our 2. Same little problem here. You've got a very shallow AB, but you can dig the 5 in the C out. So then well, let me clear some of this off so we can see it a little better. And this channel here, we can work through this just so you can see it a little better. So you kind of got to go through this and go, okay, where are we? Where can I find? Well, first question is, can I find any impulses in here? Just in terms of trying to organize where you are. Now, I am down here. I'm on a 60-minute. And it just, I don't see any without having to accommodate something. So you might look here and you go, oh, 1, 2, oh, maybe I can get that 3, 4, 5 here. But the broader structure of it here, and now this is a 60. I don't want to go down to the 5-minute chart to try and dig that out. What I see here is coming from this here is that essentially we've got an A, B, and a C. Now, note the height of this retracement here overlaps the proposed 1 here. So that, as you look through it, it looks like I can get my A wave here is skinny, right? So it's a little bit of a judgment call as to which of these pivots, because you could have the failure C here or the truncated C, but I think this fits better as the B here, and then we come down 3, 4, we get our C here, A, B, C, into the A, into the B, and then now here this is a bit of a judgment call. So from the 3, we'd be looking here as an expanded flat. All right, so you can't dig it out on this level, but that's what I think is more likely. So we look there saying, well, if that's my 4, I want to check 2 things. One, I want to check what, as we would we'd look for the length of the third here, as I have it as this ABC, looking for something that would be technical here at the 4th, but we're going to do it twice. So remember, in a diagonal, we're going to check through the start of the 1 wave through the pivot of the 3rd. Let's see what I get there. If I get that right. My machine's a little funky today. Here we go. So if I get that right there, well, I get a pretty solid box right here. All right, so I've got the 50. Now let me get this out of here for the time being. So I've got the golden zone of this degree here. Do you see that? So from here, I come down. Here's the edge of it. Here's the golden zone. So I've got golden zone here. I've got that 50. And then of the larger degree, I've got the 50 at the top edge of this box. So I feel like this is a reasonable spot to be putting the 4, if this is correctly identified as the 3, rather than put the 3 down here. I think we've got to go A, B, C here to get the 3 into the 4. And now note here, now we've broken through by some ticks, but we've got a pretty good cluster down here at both of those algo targets. So it's a little sloppy, granted. Now we've got some extreme trading going on with this uncertainty in the background. But I think until proven otherwise, this is a reasonable pivot down here. Something has completed here. Then given the depth of that move off of those targets, it looks like we may well have completed something here. So if you're trying to complete something into this pivot, this A wave seems like a reasonable choice here until proven otherwise. So given that, we're looking for something, come here, something that would give me a 3 wave into my B, and then we're going to head down for the C. So we'd be looking to stack this here if the A is complete, which it does look like it is. So here I've got this prior structure here. So potentially there's the, pull these all together. This would be the retracement zone I'd be looking for the B wave here. If we're going to get up this high, now again I'm on a 60, so I'm going to let this shape up a little bit more. If you trade, if you're a regular S&P trader, getting into that B wave is not a bad looking trade. Right? So there's definitely opportunity here. So you got to make a decision, and this is just a function of how regularly you trade here in the S&P. But if you're a swing trader, well, you're late for the buy here. So your next potential entry would be the retrace. If we're going to get this is going to play this way. If we're going to get a pivot up here, excuse me, and then start the retrace, then you could trade the B into the C, knowing that this could go deep. I mean, we could look what happened here in this B. So we always have to watch out for that. So you've got to be clear about the risk. So we don't have the pivot yet. We don't know where this is. But if we pull up, and I'm going to use the structure here as a reasonable target, coming down for the 618 into this zone here. And Christ, you got to be very disciplined with the money management here. So a trade like that, you're likely to get that to realize, likely going to need to carry that overnight. maybe 1, 2, 3 times. So becomes a function of your confidence in taking something like that overnight. You could do it with options. You could buy some at the money options, sell them out of money calls. But this is really a short-term trade. So I mean, this is for people that are comfortable trading in the S&P and carrying things overnight here. So again, I hedge, right? I just hedge. I just have been burned before carrying things overnight. So it's not like you have to worry as much about a stop. You don't have to worry about a stop not getting filled. The stop's going to get filled. Now you might have some rude slippage, but it's not like crypto where we have to wonder, fuck, I hope that stop gets filled. So I think there is a reasonable, so if you were able to buy in this range, let's split the difference, 28.25 with a target up here of 28.82, what did I say, 28.25 to 82. I mean, there's a monster trade in here. These are big swings. So there is definitely a trade there, but there's nothing, here's what I would not be trying to do. Sell, if this is the A and we're going into the B, I wouldn't be trying to sell the B into the, well, let me put the labels on it. So if this is going to go A, B, C, all right, I would not try and sell the A into the B. I would look to buy the B into the C, right? That's me. So, I mean, you could make a case for this to sell the A into the B, right? So the trend currently is down. We've got a completed motive wave here. That's not how I would do it, right? So right now, I mean, it's shorting the market. If you didn't catch some of this early, you had so here's the start of the week. It's a lot of volatility. So for me, I would wait here and I'd have my stop under the 786. I would not give that enough room to turn into an expanded flat, right? There's no reason to assume that. So if I were a buyer here, let's split the difference, call it 28.25. If I were a buyer in that range, you could even use this little pivot kind of as a guideline. I'd be disciplined on that stop. No reason. There's just too much volatility. Don't let this thing get away from you and do something like that. I'd probably take no more than a couple of ticks under the 786. Now, I tend to short-term swing trade the S&P and close by the end of the day. But if you guys are looking for a swing trade, I think the long here is better. And then I think you're more comfortable here on the sell side in this range, just as you do it here, but same kind of idea. In this, I wouldn't give it past the point of control. If we do get this here, right? We don't know if it's going to stop at the 50 or this golden zone, or of course, a B wave could go higher. So if I got something like this, now note where the algo target is. Right, so I would be looking for precision here because I don't want a lot of extra risk. So if I can get in that box, oh shit, I mean, you could be relatively tight with that stop. I would want to see it. I would want to see it make that turn and get started. Then I feel a little better if I'm going to tighten that stop down a bit. I would want to see it I would want to see the reaction there. Then I might enter into the trade looking for that. That's a pretty good sized move. Now, if you get that, where are you? Well, we're not even to the 38 of the whole move. So remember where you are. Put that in context of, let's go to the 4 hour here. Right, we're talking about being right here. Right, here's the longer term target. So the potential is that you could get a runner that would give you something, with really substantial risk reward here. But again, it's setting up the buy. You just until the trend is broken, there's no reason to assume anything other than you got to buy the dips, right? So then looking here, we could put another trade together. I've got this lit here. So if you got something like that, then you're looking at something like that. So let's go back to original recipe. Now you've got something that could be interesting. Now, we don't know when it gets there, right? So I'm just kind of eyeballing here. But something like that for this move, and wouldn't look like that were the 3, but that could be the one of the 3 at this degree. Right? Of course, it's not going to go straight. So it'll be a lot of decisions to make along the way, and nothing says we're going to go here, there. It's shit, we could do this. Right? You could hit it right here, put in the 2 and 3, 4, 5. Of course, we have no idea what that's going to look like. I can just set that up as a potential target. So for me, the trades here are from the B into the C, into the sell, for the B into the larger C. Nice looking trade, but all that does is set up the buy zone down here. Now, if we do something like that, here's your buy zone. It is kind of interesting how this area keeps coming back into play. So it's almost, so if we look here, we could, let me squeeze it up here a little bit. you see how this area just keeps coming back into play. So this area here, right? So we just tagged it. Yeah, we broke it. We broke it if I get right on that pivot. So resistance gets through, becomes the support gets through, resistance finally gets through. Now it's the support again. All right, market is definitely paying attention to it. And then look down here at the lower edge of it, where you kind of get all of this. Come here. All of this coming down here that would be consistent with that. These prior swings where we had support, potentially support again, potentially, right? We don't know. But note here, you'd be right at the end. Well, no, this is visible range here. So let me just get this. So I've got just the move up, right? So if we look here, the bulk of it obviously is all right here in these two pockets of that range that we've been in. But we can start coming down to the 50. We're losing some of that base here until you get down here. Well, you've got a little bit here. So it's not as clear cut, but this is where you wouldn't want to be sitting there with a limit order. I'd want to see the reaction there. So before you jump in, I wouldn't just sit and just take it. I'd want to see a little bit of reaction on a smaller degree. Here I'm on a 4 hour. I want to see a little reaction to get me a little more confident that I've got the pivot. Then if I can get that, then I don't have to be so loose with the stop. I don't have to give it all the way down to 25.19, break the golden zone. I'd rather be a little tighter than that. So if this were going to get stopped out, I'd rather take the small loser than reevaluate down here and know that it potentially now the whole thing just repeats. Oh, what is it with my machine today? Maybe time for a reboot. So you do something like that. Now we can do the same thing. Stop is below that pivot, right? So using the structure again of the prior one wave, you've got that. So this all would just roll down here. Now you've got potentially a golden corner. But getting ahead of myself, all of that, is just dependent on, are we going to get the 50 here? First question. So back to where we are and where we're sitting right now. This retracement sure does look like we're starting in the A wave, correcting this motive. So I want to see a good clear 3 here. It sets up the sell, which then sets up the buy. All right, so that's what I see there, guys. It's interesting. Good trading. All of this vol, very good. You can trade futures, options, CFDs, just the kind of volatility we want to see. But I would advise you try and stay 60-minute or above. You get down to the lower stuff, you're playing a different game. Here at 60 minutes and above, we can see the wave structure, even though this is a little tricky, right? Again, this typical 5 Elliottician is going to give you 5 different counts there, right? Love it or hate it, that's just the reality of it. You got to pick something to try and organize this. I see it as a completed motive wave. We're just now starting the correction of that motive down. All right, guys. Okay, talk to you later.